What is up, fight fans? Jordan Kurtz here with the MMA Plug on Mile High Sports. You can give me a follow along online at Comments from the Peanut Gallery. Also, want to make sure that you give a follow to everybody at the Mile High Sports crew. Give the network a follow, hit that like, share, and subscribe wherever it is possible. These guys are trying to give you everything that they can on the latest and greatest for the core four on the sports front and all of the headlines, chasing everything down in the process. This week, the NFL is kicking off. Obviously, there is massive headlines when it comes to anything NFL related in this Broncos town. Following from that, you are going to have talks that may get a little bit hot this year with Coach Prime and the CU Buffs. I mean, especially after the way that they started, they had a little bit of mishaps from the operations and coaching standpoint. Missed some chances to call some timeouts and manage the clock a little bit better. See how that unfolds throughout the course of the rest of the season. Naturally, something to keep eye on there. Always going to be off-season talk for the Avalanche and the Nuggets, and then the Rockies tonight, or Tuesday night, I should say, lost their 100th game of the season, sitting at a ripe 39 and 100 in the process. Simply atrocious. All that to be said, ladies and gentlemen, please follow the Mile High Sports Network wherever it is and support them wherever possible, wherever it is on the social channels, on the YouTube, the podcast network, the website, magazine, merch drops, all of that. Your support is greatly appreciated. And moving along from that, guys, I've always tried to be very real with you all and try to be as transparent with where I'm at and if things are a little bit off or have something to at least give you for the why. Today's going to be one of those days where I'm giving you my best and just getting through the show. I unfortunately today I lost my best friend. Had to put my boy down. He was I mean, I'm biased, but he was the greatest dog that you could have asked for. And it's hitting me pretty hard. This is a pre-recorded show this week, and at the time that you guys are listening to this program, I will be sitting in a funeral for a friend since high school who died way too young at 33 years young. So it's been a trying couple of days. And oh yeah, the Davis mortuary situation definitely closely connected with that, as that's who took care of my brother. So my demons have been raging through the last couple of days, and I'm here for it. I'm here. I'm with you guys. I'm trying to deliver as much of the combat sports news and the information that I possibly can for you following the wake of all of this news. Coming up in the month of September, there's going to be a couple of events at the end of the month, but keep these dates on your calendar as we get closer to them at the end of the month. And also know that October is a full slate, pretty much something every weekend here in Colorado, up and down the Front Range. At the end of the month, on the 27th, at the Colorado Tattoo Convention at the National Western, you have CJJC return into action. There is a massive amount of high level grapplers that are going to be on this card. There's a four-man cash bracket with some of the most decorated guys in the area, whether it be Benny Rotan to Nico Radic to some of the other guys out there in the mix. Uh, like I say, that's going to be a fun event within the event. We've got some UFC vets that are hopping in on the card. We've got some matches that are with some up and coming grapplers who are trying to really make their name, and especially some people who are hungry to jump on the card after Worlds happened out in Vegas this last weekend. You had the CJI that just happened. So there's a lot of inspired grapplers right now in the community, and I'm looking forward to seeing what some of them bring to the table. Oh yeah, another one that I should absolutely mention. You have the Peaceful Warrior, Caleb Crump. Caleb Crump, I had the opportunity, the fortunate opportunity, first two shows that I ever did commentary for, Caleb Crump was actually on. So I have a great deal of love and respect for Caleb Crump. I consider that man a friend. He's been someone who I've known in this fight game for a long time now, and that dude just works his tail off. He's competing every opportunity that he can, and I love that we have the opportunity to have him in our cage as CJJC. That same night, you have Sparta Fight Night 24 going down in Castle Rock. The following weekend, you have Battle MMA Championships back after it in Springs. I believe that's at the Colorado Springs City Hub. You have the weekend after that, a couple of events on the 10th. There's also going to be one on the 11th. First one to talk about on the 10th is MMA Him. That is that's a private show. It's it's pretty buttoned down. It's a fundraiser. It's ran by our friend of the program in Ron Kruk. It's a very select audience. I believe it was at least they took last year off, but it's usually one show every year in October, and it's a big fundraiser. And yeah, they try to do a great job of showcasing some of the local talent on that card. Same night, you're going to have Colorado Combat Club back in action October 10th at the Stampede. The next day, turn it around quickly for 5280 Muay Thai. That's going to be at the Stampede as well on October 11th. So again, just keep those dates on your calendar. We'll be talking more about those events in detail as we grow closer to those dates. Transitioning over here to the weekend recap. Over the weekend, had the opportunity to call a boxing show, Airtight Boxing Rapid Fire, over at the Eclipse Event Center off of Sheridan. Some really fun fights on the card. Really want to just give a shout out to Gino the Russian Concussion Shvedov going in there in the main event and picking up a TKO victory. I just have some of the utmost respect for Gino out there. Gino is a guy who doesn't need to fight anymore. He doesn't need fighting. He's a well off, financially free businessman who is wildly successful in his operations outside of the cage or outside of the ring, I should say. Started off as an MMA fighter, is now transitioned into pro boxer. Gino is a guy who, despite maybe appearance of looking like a tough dude and being a pro fighter and all of that, man, that dude has such a big heart and helps so many people in the community. At one point, myself included, when I was in a pinch and needed a spot to live, he opened his doors to me years ago, and I lived with Gino for, I wasn't a long time, but I think probably lived at his house like 6 months in one of the rooms that he had for rent, something along those lines. But still, I was in need, and he was a brother who reached out and gave me some support when I needed it. So, like I say, I will always have a high degree of respect and endearment for somebody like Gino, but also, again, he not just myself, I mean, hundreds of people within the community through his business, Hazelbrook Sober Living, that he's benefited from helping them get back on their feet, and other opportunities and ventures that he has his hands in. He has his rec center over there in Aurora, where people get the opportunity to go and further their health and their physical fitness. And it's something that, as long as you're meeting the guidelines, they take care of you. Their guidelines for admission and whatnot, as long as you're following the rules, they take care of you at Hazelbrook and with Gino's Ventures and Paradigm and so on and so forth. And it was so cool to see the evolution of someone like Gino, who has the background that he does, but then after the fight, when he gets the win, his wife Jess, who she's a world class ultra athlete, so going all around the world competing in these ultra endurance events, just insane level conditioned, crazy conditioning, and I mean, just one of the most disciplined and hard willed women that I've ever met in my life. Love Jess, absolutely love her. And there's little baby boy Max. This is, I mean, that there's no mistaking that boy has all Gino in him. You look the eyes, his glance, just his little grin. So cool to see Gino holding his baby up there in the ring after he got the TKO, just knowing, what he's gone through and all the hoops and the hurdles and obstacles that he's overcame in his life to get to this point. And yeah, a little bit of a ramble there and heartfelt, but giving credit where credit's due. Shout out to you, Gino Shredov. This week on the Contender Series, 4 out of the 5 guys got contracts. The one who didn't, Chapolin. What does this man have to do to get a contract? For the record, he is the reigning, defending LFA champion with multiple title defenses under his belt. Had a big win just a couple weeks ago on that LFA card in Ventura. Got in that short notice opportunity this week against Onho. And he was on the most recent season of The Ultimate Fighter. So again, I gotta ask, what's he got to do to get over the hump? You guys tell me. On the other side of that, that's a tough go for Onho, man. That's two trips to the Contender Series where he's ended up on the wrong side of the result. But he's young. He's a really talented kid. He brings an entire region of the world of eyes to him. So he's absolutely going to get another shot. He just has to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to put the next one together. Tommy Gunn McMillan, another guy who trains out of that greater Phoenix area. Tommy, as opposed to the lab with On, you have Tommy Gunn, who is he represents or he lists himself through Tapology as a red feather guy, or excuse me, as a red hot guy with Tim Welch. But a lot of those guys intermix or cross train between the lab and Red Hawk and so on and so forth. But Tommy Gunn claims Red Hawk. He has that Dakota or that Montana's connection, that Fusion Fight League connection with Tim and with Sean. So there's the connection there. He is a real deal prospect. He's 27. He's 9-0. He's on a 16 fight win streak dating back to his amateur debut. Overcame some crazy adversity in that fight against Dave McGoyan, who he was undefeated, and another LFA veteran who he'll get another chance. He'll get his shot. But yeah, Tommy Gunn gets that deal off of the decision win that he got tonight, majority decision. The next guy that I want to talk about though for a second, man, this is one of the most hyped up that I've been for a guy on the Contender Series in a little while, and that was Mandel Nalo. Mandel Nalo kind of flies under the radar for a lot of people because he doesn't have a big social media presence. He's a true martial artist through and through. This is a guy who like he just wants to go train and he wants to go fight and do art type of stuff. He doesn't really care about the promotion or going and doing the whole showmanship or anything like that. He just wants to get in there and get violent stylistically. And he's got, again, that's what drew me into him for all those years while he fought for Bellator. His only losses in Bellator were to some really top tough guys like friend of a program, Nick Brown, that we had on a couple of years ago. Like I say, that's a prospect who has such an exciting style that for me as an aficionado of the game, I just want to see him fight. I just want to see a guy like that who doesn't really care about the glitz, the glamour, the fame, the any of that. He just wants to go out there and be a purist martial artist through and through, that sort of Bruce Lee type of mentality, and just go be water, just go fight. Again, super hyped on Mandel Nalo. You have Cesar Olachechik, brother of Michael Olachechik, who got his contract tonight. And then in the main event, you had John Paul DeBossiani, a standout from the LFA promotion. He's got OG Gracie roots. His pops and his family were connected to Hoist Gracie way back in the day, years and years ago. He earned a deal tonight with that big knockout that started with the jab, same side high kick combo. Congratulations to John Paul DeBossiani. He fought in a title fight that I covered a couple years ago against my brother Jacoby Jones, and Jacoby got the win that night, won the LFA title. It was vacant at that moment, but kudos to John Paul Nabosiani, who in that fight suffered the worst cut that I've ever seen from a fight. I mean, it's one that if I could show you to the public, or if I had the evidence to be able to present to you, it would be one of those like we're getting a warning sign over the screen from the machines that handle the platform type of situation. Yeah, that was a type of cut or the type of split across his face that some fighters don't come back from that, or they take that type of damage and like, man, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. But kudos to John Paul Nabosiani, who got right back to it, hot back in the gym, true black belt type of mentality, and got himself back into the cage, found success moving up a weight class to 170. goes on and has the apex of success in the LFA, and then gets this opportunity here with the Contender Series and gets his way into the UFC. So congratulations to Jean-Paul Labosniani. No UFC last weekend, so we are going to transition into the weekend preview. This week, as far as the weekend preview goes, over in Asia, you have for one championship, you have Natalie Salcido of Colorado Springs making her one championship debut. So congratulations to you, Natalie, getting signed to a major organization. She last won her last fight was a title fight win for Peak, a regional show here in the US. So congratulations to you, Natalie, picking up that recognition of being able to go on and fight for a major organization out there. The LFA is back down in Brazil. The UFC is across the pond over in Paris this week. You have a middleweight showdown, which this fight, there's no way around it. It has title implications on the line. If either Nasruddin Imavov or Caio Borralho goes out there and has a statement type of performance, they are getting that next title shot. And they'll certainly be the front runner, ushered and waiting for it, but obviously, recency bias can factor in. And if someone does something really impressive in that RDR versus Fluffy fight, then some things are subject to change. But I really do believe that these two are kind of the front runners for that title shot right now. And especially given that Kyle was the backup in Chicago a couple of weeks ago for that fight with Dricus and Hamzat, that leads me to believe that the promotion is really high on him. And if he does something impressive in this fight, he does get that nod next. In the co-main event, you have one of Kaio's fighting nerds brethren. You have Mauricio Hufi taking on Benoit Saint-Denis. Last time friends didn't go too well for Frenchie. Mauricio Rufi, I think that's one of the bright prospects out there. I think that his style it's so hard to replicate the things that he does. It really is. Benoit, on the flip side, he's a very tough and gritty fighter. I'm not going to sugarcoat that aspect of it, that he is as tough as an old leather boot. He can take a beating unless you're Dustin Poirier and you just flat out put him out. He has power and he's tough, he's durable. But I think that the difference in this fight is going to come down to the speed. And when we start talking about fast twitch versus slow twitch, Benoit's a lot more slow twitch, and Mauricio Rufi is as fast twitch as you possibly get. Just ask Bobby Green. Moving along from that, in the feature fight, we have a 205 bout going down between Modestas Bukauskas taking on the Bear Jew Paul Craig. Nothing against Modestas Bukauskas. I just like Paul Craig. Paul Craig is as close to a one-trick pony in modern day MMA with just being largely a jiu-jitsu guy. But let's just remember who he has wins over, folks. He's got wins over multiple champions at 205. Submitted on Kalaev. Broke Jamal Hill's arm. The dude has sauce if you entertain him in his waters. Bukauskas cannot let this get to the canvas. Following that, you have a lightweight matchup between Mason Jones taking on Borralho Oki. Moving down from there, you've got Axel Sola, Frenchman, taking on the Irishman and Reese McKee. This next fight, though, opening up the main card, this is one that I think is going to be a real attention grabber. You have Patricio Pitbull taking on Losin Kaida, probably butchering that name. It hasn't been media day yet for him to have his name in the database yet for the recording yet. But yeah, he is making his UFC debut. He's the Octagon champ, reigning Octagon champ, a big European promotion over there. Debuts for guys haven't been going the greatest this year in the UFC. However, I think that especially at his age and in the last couple of fights, we've seen that Pitbull isn't the same Pitbull that he once was during the heights of his championship run, though, either. Yes, did he win against Dan Ige? Absolutely. But do I think that Dan Ige made a ton of tactical errors in that fight, or that he didn't really push the pace? He didn't push the action on Pitbull, didn't try to make him uncomfortable, just kind of treated it like a boxing spar? Yeah, I think that's kind of fair to assess too. From there, you've got a featherweight matchup between William Gomez taking on Robert Uchala. Umar C taking on Bridson Hibiero at 205. And you have another former champion out of another organization. You have the 2022 PFL heavyweight champion, Ante Dalia. He's going to be taking on Marcin Tybura on this card. There's no mistake to Dalia's game. He's going to want to go out there and he's going to want to punch your lights out. Tybura a little bit more well-rounded. He's durable. He's got a lot to him there. This next matchup, this is a replacement that has just came about within the last, as of this recording, within the last like hours today. And I know that simply because I know who else they were vetting for the matchup. I don't know if I have the green light to be able to say his name, but it was a guy who was stateside versus Harry Hardwick, who is from overseas and was an easier replacement matchup for Quawe Fernandez. You have a welterweight matchup between Sam Patterson taking on Trey Waters. I'm big on Trey Waters. Trey Waters fought out here in Denver a couple of years ago, had a big win, went on to the Contender Series initially, dropped that bout to Bonfim, goes back to the LFA, styles out, gets a belt, gets signed to the UFC, and has came back, and he hasn't dropped one since. He's also really tall for the weight class. Something to keep an eye on dimensionally. The next fight, you have Brad Tavares taking on Robert Brichek of Poland. See, this is the thing, guys, is so many people online a few weeks back made a big old deal of Brad Tavares showing up on the roster tracker, X account, and all that. All that meant was that his contract had expired. It doesn't always mean that somebody is released when they pop up on the roster tracker. Sometimes it's they fought out their contract and it's just a matter of waiting for that next deal. Next fight is another welterweight matchup between Andreas Gustafsson, dude who everybody loved for looking like a Viking and having some potentially questionable tattoos. One of them that's been covered up so far. But yeah, I'll just leave you with that little teaser and you can go down the rabbit hole yourself. He's taken on Rinat Fakhretdinov. Fakhretdinov is 24-2-1. I mean, this dude has a ton of fights. He's a tough competitor. He has submission skills. He can mix it up on the feet. Gustafsson is going to want to go out there and go diesel. That's how I see this fight on paper. And then opening up the card, you got the homegirl, Sam Page, Sam Hughes, taking on Shauna Bannon out of Ireland. Should be a good fight to open up the card. This is going to be, like I say, this is going down over in Paris. What do you guys think of the card? You can reach out to me on social media and let me know at Comments from the Peanut Gallery on Instagram or on Threads. You can also check me out with any of the shows that we have going on the scene here in the next few weeks. We've got, like I say, CJJC at the end of the month at the Tattoo Convention on October 10th. We've got Colorado Combat Club on October 11th. We have 5280 Muay Thai. Going to be there at each of those shows. If you want to buy tickets and you don't know how, feel free to reach out. I will get you in the right direction to be able to get tickets for those. All that to be said, folks, we are going to be transitioning into an interview here with our guest of the week. We're going to be having Taylor Mauldin, who is going to be fighting on that XFC 53 Fight Night card. She's going to be on the same card that we had Juan Archuleta from last week's show. She's going to be on that. She's fighting Ellie Rodriguez. Taylor was a fun conversation to have. She's got such a great personality. I think you guys are going to enjoy the talk that we had. And transitioning from that, thank you so much for sitting along here with me. This is one of the tougher episodes that I've ever had to sit here and talk through with all the heavy weight on the mind. But again, thank you all so much for rocking with me and appreciate your support. I'll see you officially next week. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the MMA Plug presented to you by Mile High Sports. I'm your host, Jordan Kurtz. Give me a follow along online at Comments from the Peanut Gallery. We are joined with Taylor Mauldin. Taylor will be competing on the Borroka Presents XFC 53 card that's going to be going down on September 20th in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, at the Theater at Virgin Hotels. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, real quick before we get into the thick of things, where can people give you a follow?
Go ahead and follow me on Instagram at Taylor_Mauldin93.
There you have it right there, folks. Make sure that you give Taylor a follow there so you can keep all the tabs on the updates, latest and greatest as she goes through camp and gets ready for fight night here in just a couple of weeks. You have a big fight on a card that I think is going to have a lot of eyes on it, Taylor. I
Yeah.
think that this weekend of fights for XFC 53, it's going to have a lot of attention on it because there are no other major organizations that have a fight that weekend. It's in Las Vegas. It's coming off of the heels of a couple of really big fight cards, whether it's in the boxing world with Canelo and Crawford or with Noche with the UFC. Being that this is kind of an opportunity that is, for all intents and purposes, going to be all eyes on you, how does that feel?
It's always fun. And you know what's even more fun is I've always wanted to fight in Vegas, and to have that opportunity is always amazing. So get to check that off my bucket list.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like when we start talking about different venues, and I had a conversation with Juan Archuleta, who's on the card too as well, and he's got to fight around some of just the most prestigious venues around the world, like Super Saitama in Japan to Madison Square Garden. But he in his entire career has never fought in Vegas. So he even said, like that's a big deal for him also to be able to check that box off, to be able to say, yes, this was something that I was able to go and do. And, I think that's awesome that you have the chance to go out there and fight in a venue that's also had a lot of great fights through the years too at the Virgin.
It's definitely fun, and I mean, that just is an added little thing to look forward to.
Certainly, certainly. Now, let's talk about the opponent real quick. Let's talk your matchup with Ellie Rodriguez. Now, she's training out of Lobo Gym. Is there any initial thoughts that you have on her, or what was the first thing that you went across your mind as soon as that matchup got offered?
Yeah, of course. So initially, you're always hit with that. I think she's like 5-3 or something. Like her record's almost reflective of like something you would be like, oh yeah, she's definitely like a chump. But after doing some digging, you can tell that she's never strayed away from like the tough fights, and that's actually why, she's had that up and down stuff. So it's always you could tell like maybe she's been underestimated because of that. But it's just probably because she's taken some pretty tough fights, and so I'm definitely not underestimating her. She's a nail for sure.
But on the flip side, you've also had a lot of very highly credible experience and highly credible experience in the cage, and then opponents that have done a lot for themselves as well. I mean, you yourself, you won Fight Pass Submission of the Year with a mounted Gogo Plata against a veteran of the Ultimate Fighter. You've shared the cage with other high level veterans who have had a lot of success in other promotions like Tina Black, to a lot of others who, like we say, have done very well. UFC vets in combat jujitsu to so on and so forth, along with just so often being in a training room and just out there and in the area in which you train. There's so much talent that is just, across all of the disciplines. How does all of that factor in for you going into this matchup against someone who also trains with a lot of very decorated MMA boxers in that Lobo camp?
Yeah, of course. Well, I definitely am not sleeping on myself in the sense that I've constantly stayed busy. I've constantly elevating myself, always competing, flying out to jiu-jitsu tournaments, doing all the local events, getting to compete against high level UFC veterans, and being in tough rooms, like going to extreme couture and traveling to get the tough rooms and stuff like that. And I'm not sleeping on myself. I definitely think that I'm very qualified, and I'm really excited anytime I get to step in the cage, and especially off of this last loss, you really get amped up to go in there and try and get that back. And I'm sure just like she is, she's excited to do the same thing.
Totally. Totally. Now, in terms of, just the fight dynamic, and I mean, this is something that you've been totally in the mix of since you were a kid, right?
Yeah, I've definitely like been competing and even traveling to compete since I was a kid, going across states to compete in karate and things like that. And you're a kid and stuff. And I guess like as an adult now, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, how embarrassing it's karate. But the pressure was still the same. So whether I was 15 or 8, getting to experience that level of pressure, and I was always the type of kid that I would get to finals and be able to go on stage and compete like that with eyes on me and things like that. As an adult, it's transcended quite well, and I'm just, always in my element in that sense.
How did it help you to have a sibling who was so closely involved with the sport as well through that time?
I know that a lot of people actually know about Lisa, and but what they don't know is like I have had several siblings that actually have fought in MMA and
Okay.
karate as well, and so it was kind of like a just really weird in the sense that you don't really hear whole entire families traveling to go do fighting as a family sport, right? You hear about, oh, let's take the kids to soccer practice or whatever. No, we were going across state lines to either do MMA or to do karate and things like that. So, we're just that kind of family. We're combat sports. Whether it was my brother or my sister, that was just something we've always done as a family.
Totally. That's awesome. I didn't know that there was both of you in the mix. Obviously, with
There's more,
with
there's more than one crazy Mauldin.
fair enough,
There's
fair enough.
several.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, also along with that, though, along with having your siblings that have helped guide you within your career, as it's been made to my attention, Tatiana Suarez has also been a pivotal figure for you throughout your career. Am I correct in that information?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to train with her quite a few times. We were training partners, probably pretty new in the game, like several years and years ago. That was just something we shared the room with each other quite a few times. So yeah, that's always fun to be able to train with such a high level athlete.
Awesome. Now, in terms of preparation for this fight, who have been some of the people who have really kind of helped get you ready for this? Are you kind of going back and forth between a couple of places, cross training, or staying all in one camp, or what's that looking for you as you prepare for this fight with Ellie Rodriguez?
Yeah, of course. So I am looking to make that. Sorry, I'm looking to get into some of the tougher rooms in the sense like going to travel to Las Vegas and cross train with extreme coutures, and I'm constantly working under Lawrence Larkin's wing and Romeo Rom's wing and some of the veterans of just old school UFC and MMA stuff like that. So it's fun.
Just casually throwing out some, big A-lister names over there, or, legends of the game out there.
No,
Now, will Lorenz be in your corner for this fight? Will
so unfortunately, not for this particular fight. He's going to be taking his family on vacation. But typically, yes, he usually is. I'll have Romeo Rom in my corner as always, but not Lorenz. So usually, I do at times get to have his presence there.
Nice. Okay. Now, I want to just reel this back. It's a little bit more of a lighthearted question, but this is something that I feel like it's unique to each person out there. Is there something that as you're going through camp, and I mean you've always been training, so it's never like you're, an on season, off season mode. I'm sure like completely like in the sense of other sports, but naturally when you're in camp and locking in for a target date and trying to peak for a specific moment versus out of camp, you probably have a little bit of guilty pleasures in terms of some snacking or some foods or cheat meals, or for some people it's the pizza. It's football season coming up, so there's a lot of guys that I know that, oh no, we gotta make sure that we're not diving into the wings or any of that sort of stuff. But what is the hardest thing for you to give up or for you to kind of cut back on while you're in camp? Sweets, snacks, meal, whatever.
Okay, so I think I think it's for me, I'm a fatty, so I mean I can really go into detail about all the types of food I love to eat, but I would have to say what is the absolute hardest thing? I know this might sound weird, but peanut butter is like really good in small doses. I don't think I eat like a normal amount of peanut butter. I don't know what it is. And I think like recently like I've like I crave it even more knowing that I can't have it. But yeah, I don't know. Peanut butter on my banana. I'll put it in my vanilla ice cream. I put on everything and I'm just like I really gotta knock it. I'll eat like a chocolate covered banana that's frozen and then I'll put peanut butter on it as like a midnight snack. I haven't in a while, but that's the type of like fatty I am. Okay. I don't know what it is about the peanut butter. I'll eat it on rice cakes. I'll get creative. It'll be like a chocolate covered rice cake, and then I'll just put peanut butter on top with some banana. And I don't know. I know it sounds ridiculous. I know most people are probably like, man, it's those Big Macs that really get to me. No, mine is peanut butter.
No, I totally understand that. And I don't know if do you know who Celine Haga is?
No, I don't.
Well,
Maybe
she's
if I
a
saw her, I probably did.
yeah, I
I
was gonna
would.
say I know she's done a ton of like combat jujitsu events and she's long time pro fighter, all of that. Bounced
Okay.
around from Jackson Wink. She's fought for Fury, a whole bunch of organizations all over the world. But I just say that I used to be roommates with her and then and also with Nicholas Mota, who is an extreme couture guy out there in Las Vegas.
Okay.
The almond butter that they would go through
Mm.
and just like the oh no, like I totally didn't even realize that I just went through this entire jar of almond butter. Yeah, yeah. So I totally
I
get
don't
it.
know.
Just like
I'm
put it
gonna
on
try it.
everything.
I'm gonna try it. Maybe you know what? I think I'm at the point where like 125 isn't too harsh on me. I still have been eating the peanut butter, but probably not on the level that I was. Not
Okay.
with the not with a frozen chocolate covered banana, but I'm still eating the rice cakes with peanut butter. But maybe I should give the almond butter a shot. I don't know.
I can tell just by the animation how much you love peanut butter.
I know it's
Like you don't hide it at all. Like that is like something that is deeply rooted within you. It's
no, I
almost like
feel it here.
Amanda
It's in
Hebus
my
with chocolate.
yeah, it's in my heart and it's in my stomach that I yearn for it. Okay.
Okay, okay, that's fair enough. Now, another question on the personal side that's fighting adjacent this time. Is
Okay.
there maybe a song lyric, a movie scene, a quote? For some people, it's a Bible passage, anything along those lines that tells the tale of Taylor for this camp in this fight?
Oh my God. Okay. So,
This is that one that I told you I was going to put you on the spot for.
okay. Can I pick two?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, I know this is already off to a bad start, but it's the song. It's called Rescue. And it's funny because it's been on my mind all day today. And I'm over here, like, in my feelings in the car, like, oh my God, I just love this song. But it's actually like this Christian song. But when I think of it, because I have two little girls, and so I don't know, the song's called Rescue, and there was like this point in time where I got to be like my daughter's like superhero, and she's like 16 now, and so I was just like reflective, and it just amps me up. I'm like, man, I just got done training. I'm like in my car driving home, like, oh my God, like I just love this song. So I think that would be like my lower for this fight camp is like Rescue. And as always, like um there's like this Eminem song is like I don't know, it's something like a you only got one shot, na na na, and that song's always like I listen to it every time. And before like the fights, I have like an entire playlist that I just listen to, and I'm always like, you only got one shot to make it right, just it's embarrassing. But yeah, it's real cheesy, very basic. Those two are that's my thing.
Okay, okay. Are you ritualistic at all, like when it comes to fight week or fight days specifically?
In a sense, like I always go through the same emotions in the sense that I'm like, I start to accept that the process in which my body gets ready for the fight. And I just, in the beginning, you used to be like, man, I need to get amped up. I need to feel like psycho crazy. And I just realized, like, at this point, that is not my process. And I'm more like just a chill person in the back. I'm not, you've always see like at different types of athletes. There's athletes that scream and beat their chest and they're just nuts. And I'm always like, man, maybe I should be like that. I don't know. But it's just never been my speed. I'm just more like kick back, relax, get my warm up, and accept that like that's my process. And I'm just chilling. I'm just relaxing. But yeah, and then like right when I get in the cage, I'm always like, okay, cool, this is what we're gonna do, and just executing the plan. So it's just everything looks different for everybody. That's one thing that I've realized. And then just the songs, I listen to the songs on repeat, my playlist, as far as rituals, I guess.
Gotcha. Totally. Because, yeah, I mean, just like you said, in terms of like temperament and demeanor and all of that, like, I feel like that is something that is unique to each person. And if you go out there and you try to fabricate something or you try to be somebody that
Yeah.
you're not, it's eventually like it might work a time or two, but if it's not authentic to you, then I feel like it's energy that you use in unintended ways. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you being a trash talker or someone who like is super like expending yourself in that way, if that's natural to you, and like I mean I have some friends across the fight game who that is just who they are, like that's who they are 24/7. It doesn't
Me
matter
too.
if there's a camera on or if they're in front of if they're in front of nobody, they're like tuned up and that's their energy. That
Yeah,
for them is no different, right?
right. But you could tell, like, I think you can kind of tell, like, when someone's really trying to put on a show for like the audience, or even like, I don't know, you can just tell when things are fake, it's fake, and when it's real, it's like, all right, this dude's about it, or this woman is about it, or just things look different. And when that shit is fake, you could tell.
Oh yeah, totally, totally, totally.
Mhm,
And I think that you saying that you just kind of keep your cool and calm approach or have a very relaxed vibe about it.
mhm.
That also, I think you owning your game or owning your style, I think that that also for every fighter that comes with a certain sense of maturity within the game though too. Because
Yeah,
early on, like just like you said, there is a certain sense of like bravado or aggression that comes along with it. Like, oh, I need to be redline, but that isn't going to work for everybody. And
yeah,
if you're able to, I guess, have the self-awareness to
mhm,
understand that, hey, you know what? This doesn't work for me. I've got to be more authentic to myself and let that go to work. Then I think that that's a level of maturity that a lot never even have the chance to get to. Like they
yeah.
get washed out way before they even get to that point.
Because I don't know, I couldn't understand that process. It definitely wasn't for me. I was just like, dude, this isn't right, dude. I used to like try and overwork. It was always like, all right, I gotta work out to warm up my legs. It was just like I want to feel like just like warmed up, and I just realized, you know what, like this is what it is for me. And that's always like the first round where I'm always, hey, like I'm ready. I break that sweat. I'm in it. I'm locked in.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, so just as we tie things up here for you, I just want to give you the opportunity and give you the floor. Is there anything that you want to get out there, whether it be fight, personal message, whatever it may be, that you want to get out there to friends, family, supporters, anybody out there that we haven't covered yet?
Yeah, of course. Ooh, I love this part. So I always get to shout out Serenity and Nelly. Those are my two little girls. And it's always like an opportunity for me to be like, I love you guys. Mommy's gonna work hard for you. And I just that's it. I love you. That's all.
Awesome. Well, one last time, Taylor, where can people follow you?
On Instagram, Taylor at Taylor_Mauldin 93.
And Fight Night, that is going to be September 20th, folks. That is Borroka MMA presents XFC 53. You have all the information for the falls. We're going to have that there on the screen for you there as well. Going down in Las Vegas. I'm most likely going to be out there for the card, so I can't wait for that as well. It's going to be a great chance for everybody to check out some of the scene of some of the best that's not in the UFC or in any of the other major organizations getting it after it that weekend. Lots of eyes going to be in Las Vegas. Lots of big names and personalities going to be in attendance directly live. If you're in that Southern Nevada area, you should be there at this card on September 20th. Guys, I just want to say one last time, thank you all so much for following along, and thank you, Taylor, for joining us with us today. Is there anything else that you want to get out there?
No, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor, for joining us here along today. I'm Jordan Kurtz with the MMA Plug on Mile High Sports. Stick around after the break, folks. We'll get back to you with some more combat sports coverage.